Imagine sprinting across a private airfield, heart-pounding, as the engines of a multi-million-dollar jet roar to life, only to discover a hidden bomb meant to kill its owner. What would you do if the life you saved belonged to the very billionaire whose company may have been responsible for your father's untimely death? At just 14, Logan Hayes dared to challenge security, uncovering a conspiracy that reaches into boardrooms, sabotage schemes, and a revolutionary navigation system nobody wanted him to expose. How far would you go to protect your family's legacy? Who in this high-stakes game can you trust, the billionaire with a secret past, or the COO willing to kill to keep a project alive? As the clock ticks toward takeoff, every second could reveal the truth, or seal Logan's fate. Strap in for a story of courage, betrayal, and the power of one boy's determination to reclaim his father's honor. If you're ready to uncover the secrets hidden beneath the wings, hit like, share, and subscribe. Then join us as we dive into the incredible journey of Logan Hayes. The sun beat mercilessly on the runway of Skycrest Private Airfield as Logan Hayes hurtled across the blistering asphalt. His heart hammered so fiercely he felt it might break through his ribcage. The massive engines of Everett Sloan's sleek Gulfstream jet roared to life, the boarding stairs whispering up into the fuselage. "Stop," Logan bellowed, hands flailing, but his voice was swallowed by the turbine's thunder. Uniformed guards snapped to attention, faces etched with resolve, charging toward the scruffy 16-year-old who had somehow breached security. Inside the cabin, Everett Sloan, unaware of the chaos, settled into plush leather, closing his eyes as if cradled in luxury. Logan twisted free from a guard's grip, desperation surging through him like electricity. "Your plane has been sabotaged. Don't fly." The words ripped from Logan's throat just as another guard tackled him to the ground. Through the polished window, Sloan's gaze locked with Logan's for a heartbeat surprise, impatience, then a flicker of doubt. How could this ragged kid know his private jet was rigged, and who would dare target Everett Sloan? 3 days earlier, at 14, Logan Hayes had memorized every takeoff and landing at Skycrest Regional Airport, a 2-mile sprint from his modest home. Aviation magazines, dog-eared and spattered with coffee stains, papered the wall above his desk. Model aircraft dangled from the ceiling, and a half-built radio scanner cluttered the corner, scavenged from yard sale finds and parts he'd earned by stocking shelves at the local electronics shop. "Logan, you're going to be late," came the familiar call from below. "Coming," Mom Logan mumbled, tearing himself away from the window. He paused to brush a finger across the faded photograph of his father, Nathan Hayes, clad in Air Force blues, a relic pinned beside his budding pilot's certificates. His mother, Maya Hayes, stood at the bottom of the narrow staircase, keys tapping against her nurse's scrubs. At 42, she bore 5 years of single parenthood etched in the lines around her eyes. She offered him a brown paper bag. "Lunch," she said, "and don't forget Mrs. Caldwell needs you to walk Rusty after school $10 for your flying fund." Logan beamed. "I know. Mom." She smiled, voice softening. "Your father would be proud. You're only $300 from those lessons at Skycrest Regional." The drive to Crestwood High School skirted the airport's chain-link fence. There, the Gulfstream rested, gleaming like an ivory leviathan under the rising sun. "Look at that beauty," Logan whispered against the glass. "It cost $35 million, Maya observed, brow arched. "Someone important must be here." "Everett Sloan," Logan corrected gently. "His logo's on the tail." His encyclopedic passion for flight made Maya shake her head fondly. Tech conference at the college. Maybe. Classrooms blurred, hallways buzzed, but Logan's mind stayed glued to the jet. At lunch, He retreated to a bench by the athletic field, sketchbook open, tracing the Gulf Stream's graceful silhouette. Still drawing your airplanes. Hayes, a hefty sophomore. Carter Blake yanked Logan's notebook away. Logan straightened, but he was 4 inches shorter, and confrontation felt futile. What's so special about planes? Carter riffled through the precise scale drawings. They're perfect, Logan said quietly. My dad taught me to sketch them. He was a pilot. Something in Logan's tone gave Carter pause. He returned the notebook, embarrassment flickering across his features. The bell rang. Logan closed his sketchbook, a resolve settling in his chest. 20 minutes later, Logan slipped through the old gap in the fence. His secret passage since age 10, greeted by Gus Mercer, the weathered mechanic who'd once worked alongside Nathan Hayes. Gus offered a nod, then returned to a Piper Cherokee engine. Shouldn't you be in school? He grumbled. Teacher workday. Logan lied. Mind if I watch stay out of trouble? Gus Mercer warned, and if anyone asks, never saw you. Logan crept toward the Gulf Stream. Heart pounding, the jet's gleaming curves, its sleek lines whispered of continental crossings he longed to command. Near the tail, a panel hung ajar, imperceptible except to someone who knew where to look. Logan pried it open, instincts razor-sharp from years of tinkering with his father's old training manuals. Inside, a small device clung to hydraulic tubing, a blinking red light beside a countdown timer. Sabotage. Logan's blood turned to ice. He slammed the panel shut and backed away, but time was running out. Footsteps echoed. A well-dressed entourage approached, led by Everett Sloan himself. Logan's throat tightened. He had seconds to warn the man who'd never believed a teenager could save a life. A gentle breeze rippled through the hangar doors of Skycrest Private Airfield, carrying the distant rumble of the Gulfstream's engines. Logan Hayes crouched behind a stacked luggage cart, heart pounding so violently it echoed in his ears. He had watched Gus Mercer pretend not to notice his trespasses, but now the stakes had surged far beyond adolescent curiosity. 3 seconds felt like 3 hours as a polished group of men in tailored suits approached, led by Everett Sloan himself. Logan pressed himself flat, toes digging into the hot concrete. The tallest of the suits, the man whose authority filled the cool morning air, paused at the jet's tail. Logan recognized him instantly, sleek silver hair, an unwavering posture. Ethan Drake, Sloan's head of security. Meeting went well, Drake murmured to Sloan, voice as smooth as the jet's fuselage. We'll be back in Aurora by dinner. Sloan didn't answer. Instead, he peered through the cabin window, disinterest momentarily cracking to curiosity. Logan knew that split-second exchange had its aftershocks. It was now or never. He bolted from behind the cart, legs pumping, lungs burning. Mr. Sloan. Stop. Logan shouted, voice shrill against jet noise. 2 hulking security agents lunged forward, but Logan dodged, weaving between wheel chocks and toolboxes. The plane's been sabotaged, he cried, handshaking as he pointed at the tail. There's a device on the hydraulic panel. Look, a burly guard seized Logan's arm, halting him mid-stride. Kid, get lost, the guard snarled, tightening his grip. Logan wrenched back, eyes locked on Sloan. Please, sir, check that tail access panel. I know planes. My dad was a pilot. Everett Sloan emerged from the cabin, hands brushing back his silver hair, his lips curved in a thin line. Why should I believe you? He asked, voice cool with skepticism. Because nobody wants to be wrong about something like this, sir, Logan thought, and forced the words between clenched teeth. If I'm wrong, you lose 20 minutes. If I'm right, You save lives. A flicker of something respect perhaps crossed Sloane's eyes. He turned to Ethan Drake. Drake, get Mercer to check the panel. Hold departure. Drake bristled. This is highly irregular 20 minutes, Sloane repeated firmly. Abundance of caution. Within seconds, Gus Mercer shuffled into view alongside an airport mechanic. Their tools glinted in the sun as they approached the unsecured panel. Logan watched breathlessly as Mercer peeled it back, revealing the small, blinking device nestled against the hydraulic lines. Sloane's face drained of color. Call local PD and the FBI, he ordered, voice tight. Then, almost softly, Boy, what's your name? Logan Hayes. He managed, chest heaving. Any relation to Nathan Hayes? Sloane's tone was curious now. Logan's heart nearly stopped. He was my dad, he said, voice breaking. Everett Sloane's gaze softened. I knew your father, he admitted. He spoke at an aviation conference. Navigation system. Your dad had vision. Before Logan could absorb the admission, Ethan Drake sprinted back. Sir, he's right. It's a timed device intended catastrophic failure. Sloane didn't hesitate. Good work. Logan, you've saved lives today. He stepped forward, extending a trembling hand. Logan shook it, disbelief and relief warring in his chest. Hours later, Logan Hayes sat in a cramped conference room at the airport, surrounded by uniformed officers and FBI agents. Every few minutes, Maya Hayes would slip in first, hugging him fiercely, then scolding him for skipping school. He didn't mind. The door swung open. Everett Sloane entered, crisp suit replaced by a rumpled blazer and genuine gratitude in his eyes. He turned to Maya Hayes. Your son has remarkable courage, he said. He saved my life and my crew's. I owe him everything. Maya attempted a reproach. He shouldn't have been here, but Sloane interrupted gently. By fate or design? He was. He turned back to Logan, voice soft. Your father would be proud. From his pocket, Sloane withdrew a sleek business card. I'll be staying in Skycrest while the investigation continues. I'd like to speak with you again if you and your mother will allow. Maya exchanged a glance with Logan, then nodded. We'll be in touch. As Sloane walked away, Logan stared at the card. The world he knew, model airplanes. Weekend shifts at the electronics shop had shifted in a single morning. A teenager's sixth sense had outpaced professional security, and tomorrow he would learn how deep that shift would run. The sun had barely crept above the horizon when Logan Hayes finally drifted to sleep, the weight of the day's revelations pressing against his eyelids. In dreams, he saw the blinking red light, heard the roar of the engines, and felt Everett Sloane's cold skepticism melt into gratitude. But morning came too soon. Logan, breakfast, and you're not skipping school 2 days in a row. Maya Hayes's voice insisted through the half-open door. He slid out of bed, muscles stiff, the embossed card from Everett Sloane still clutched in his hand. After a quick shower, Logan found Maya at the kitchen counter, flipping pancakes with military precision. The television murmured business news. Confirmed sabotage on Skycrest Regional Airport. Sources credit an unidentified youth for alerting security. Sloane Innovation stock fell 7% in after-hours trading. Maya flicked off the set. At least your name's not in the headlines. Logan poked at syrup-drenched pancakes. I'm not hungry. The principal called, Maya said, pouring orange juice. They'll excuse you. Logan managed a shrug. Everett Sloane's life had been on the line. Skipping school seemed trivial by comparison. Just as he reached for his backpack, a sleek black SUV rolled into the driveway. Maya and Logan exchanged astonished glances. The tinted windows slid down to reveal Everett Sloan, now dressed casually in jeans and a button-down shirt. "Good morning." "Logan," Sloan called, offering a nod of respect. "Thought you might appreciate a ride." Logan froze. Maya stepped forward, brows raised. "Mr. Sloan, Everett, this is unexpected." "Please," he said, flashing a warm smile. "Call me Everett." He hopped out, closing the door with ease. "I wanted to speak with you both before the day got away." Inside their modest living room, Sloan settled onto a threadbare couch as if it were an executive lounge. Maya offered coffee. He accepted. Logan noticed how his guest paid no mind to the worn furniture. "I spoke with the FBI late into the night," Everett began, tone measured. "Plenty of leads, but these things take time." "Any suspects?" Logan asked. Voice careful. Sloan sighed. "Plenty of people stand to gain from my demise: competitors, ex-employees, even dissenters within my own ranks. Someone with inside access," Logan mused, recalling the panel's precise placement. "Exactly," Everett said, leaning forward. "You have instincts. Logan." He glanced at Maya, who was squirming with motherly unease. "Your son should get to school. But first, I have something for you." He reached into his jacket and produced a crisp envelope. A token of appreciation. Maya. A fully funded college account for Logan. Maya's eyes widened. "That's incredibly generous." "I insist," Everett said quietly. "Your son saved lives. Money is a small gesture." He slid the envelope across the table. Logan's throat went dry. Dreams of flight had always hovered just out of reach. Now they seemed suddenly attainable. "And there's more," Everett continued. "You mentioned your father, Nathan Hayes, taught you to fly. I've arranged for you to resume lessons, expenses covered." Logan's heart thundered. I can really do that." Maya opened her mouth to protest, but Everett held up a hand. "Your father would have wanted it." He stood, checking his watch. "I'd also like you to join me at the airport this afternoon. There's something I want to show you." Maya looked between her son and their unexpected guest. Finally, she nodded. "After school." Then, moments later, the black SUV rolled up to Crestwood High School, drawing stares from students. Logan stepped out first, noting Carter Blake's jaw drop. Luis Ortega dashed over. "Dude, is that Everett Sloan?" Luis whispered. Logan nodded, stunned. "You get a ride with him?" Luis asked. "Long story," Logan mumbled, heading inside for classes he couldn't focus on. The first bell shattered the tension in Crestwood High School, and Logan Hayes allowed himself a relieved breath. Luis Ortega leaned in, eyebrows raised. "Why was Everett Sloan dropping you off at school?" Logan shrugged, an amused smile tugging at his lips. "Long story," he murmured. "I'll tell you at lunch." Morning classes stretched endlessly. Logan's textbooks blurred. Every slide of presentation or recitation felt detached. His phone buzzed relentlessly, texts from classmates swirling with rumors hero kid saves billionaire. Hayes. "Is that you in the news?" Logan ignored them all. At the cafeteria table, Luis and Carter Blake pressed him for details. "So you single-handedly thwarted a terrorist attack," Luis jabbed a French fry at him. Logan shook his head, voice low. "I noticed something off. Told them before takeoff." "Still pretty badass," Carter admitted between bites. "And now he's adopting you." "Not adopting," Logan corrected. "Funded my college. Flight lessons. Real planes." "Dude," Luis said, eyes wide. "Not flight sims." "Yeah." Logan laughed, tension easing. And he wants me back at Skycrest Private Airfield this afternoon. Carter whistled. Man, that is next level. But the afternoon ticked by at a snail's pace. When the final bell rang, Logan dashed to his locker, only to find Carter waiting. So it's true, Carter said, respect replacing his usual swagger. You really saved that rich guy's plane. Logan hesitated. I just did what I had to. Carter grinned sheepishly. Still, that's heroic. He clasped Logan on the shoulder. Sorry for teasing you before. Outside, the black SUV idled. The driver nodded as Logan approached. Everett Sloan asked me to bring you here, he said. Logan slid into the back seat, empty except for a thick envelope. He had business first, the driver explained as they pulled away. 20 minutes later, they arrived at Skycrest Regional Airport, but instead of the main terminal, they turned onto a secluded service road. Towering hangars loomed ahead. The SUV stopped by the largest door. Everett Sloan stood just inside, conversing in low tones with a tall man in a bespoke suit. The stranger's sharp features and cool smile set Logan on edge. As he stepped forward, the man turned. Ah, the young hero, he said smoothly, extending a gloved hand. I'm Victor Reeves, COO of Sloan Innovations. Logan swallowed. Logan Hayes, he replied, shaking Reeves's hand. The grip was firm, eyes calculating. Hayes Reeves raised an eyebrow. Any relation to Nathan Hayes? My father, Logan said quietly, noting Reeves's imperceptible flicker of recognition. Of course, Everett Sloan interjected. Board matters. Victor will continue that discussion later. He nodded to Reeves, whose smile tightened as he strode away. Alone once more. Everett Sloan led Logan through the massive hangar. Curiosity ignited as they passed a lineup of jets from a futuristic Cirrus Vision to a vintage Bonanza. At the center sat a pristine 1978 Cessna 172 Skyhawk, its polished wings and classic silhouette identical to Nathan Hayes' old trainer. Logan halted, breath-catching. Saw your eyes light up, Everett said. Same model your father flew. Year and all. Logan circled the aircraft. Reverent, it's perfect. It's yours, Everett announced simply. For your lessons. Logan's voice cracked. Thank you. Everett's expression grew serious. There's something else about your father. He motioned to a small adjoining office. Logan followed, nerves coiling. Inside, a mahogany desk bore a thick file. Everett opened it, revealing accident reports and faded photographs. The device you found yesterday, he said, voice low, resembles what might have caused Nathan Hayes' crash. Logan felt a chill. You're saying sabotage? It's possible, Everett admitted. The official inquiry blamed mechanical failure. But your father was meticulous. Logan stared at the grainy photos, guilt and anger rising. Why would anyone target him? Everett's gaze hardened. That's what I've wondered for 5 years, and I believe it's connected to this attempt on my life. A flash of clarity hit Logan. Victor Reeves, he said, recalling the cold look he'd exchanged with the COO. Everett nodded. Victor opposed your father's navigation research from the start. He stands to gain control if anything happens to me. Logan clenched his fists. You think he's behind both incidents? It's a strong lead, Everett said evenly. And I need your help. You noticed what professionals missed. Logan hesitated, the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders, but a fierce determination ignited within him a legacy to protect. I'll do it, he whispered. Everett placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Good. We proceed carefully, and Maya Hayes must remain safe. Logan nodded. Resolve blazing. Tomorrow, their investigation would begin. The weight of the sleek, secure smartphone nestled in Logan Hayes' pocket felt heavier than any textbook bag he had carried. It wasn't just a phone. It was a lifeline to Everett Sloan, his direct line to the billionaire whose life he had saved, and now the key to unlocking the truth about his father's mysterious death. But as Logan stepped out of the hangar, cradling a worn leather flight jacket in one arm and the phone in the other, a pang of guilt twisted in his chest. He had promised Maya Hayes that she wouldn't need to know everything, yet every fiber of his being screamed that she deserved the truth. Inside the office, Everett Sloan had placed the jacket across Logan's shoulders, letting the familiar weight of his father's initials, Nathan Hayes, settle around him. He left it here the last time we met, Everett had explained, his voice thick with regret. I've held on to it, hoping I'd be able to return it to you. The memory of Logan's trembling fingers tracing the faded embroidery brought a lump to his throat. His father's presence, once so vibrant, now felt achingly close. And one more thing, Everett continued, pressing a small, sealed envelope into Logan's hand. This belonged to your dad, too. Inside was a compilation of his father's notes, design schematics for his navigation project proof that Nathan Hayes had discovered flaws in Sloan Innovation Systems. Logan had read them on the drive he and his mother retrieved from the bank vault, each line a testament to his father's brilliance and his courage. But the comfort of revelation had been shadowed by dread. Someone had wanted to bury those truths forever. Logan left the hangar dazed, the worn cockpit fabric of his father's jacket brushing against his leg as he climbed into the back of the waiting SUV. He scarcely registered the hum of the engine until it purred to life, ferrying him home with an ominous promise hanging in the air tomorrow's flying lesson. He tried to convince himself that the pilot training was reward enough, but he knew at the core it was also a chance to keep one foot in the mundane world of high school and family, while his other foot lurched deeper into corporate intrigue. That night, he barely slept. Shadows of jet wings danced across his ceiling as he played out conversations with Everett Sloan and Victor Reeves like scenes in a replayed film. Each glint of silver hair, each sharp suit, each clipped question etched itself onto his consciousness. He awoke before dawn, heart pounding, the jacket draped over his bedroom door as if it were a specter watching over him. Rising quietly, he slipped it off its hanger and held it close, inhaling that faint scent of aged leather and his father's cologne, memories of laughter and pre-flight tremors in equal measure. Downstairs, the kitchen light glowed cheerily. Maya Hayes moved with her accustomed efficiency, flipping eggs and pouring coffee with the practiced grace of someone who had learned to keep life steady after a devastating loss. "You're up early," she observed, sliding a plate of sunny-side-up eggs toward him. "Excited about your flying lesson?" He swallowed, mouth suddenly dry. "Yeah," he mumbled, sliding into the chair. The phone pressed into his thigh. He stared at the screen as though its glow might betray his thoughts. Maya cocked an eyebrow. She refilled his coffee. "There's something you're not telling me, isn't there?" Her voice was gentle, but the undercurrent of worry made Logan flinch. He set the envelope beside his plate. "Everett Sloan thinks Dad's crash might not have been an accident." The words tumbled out. "He showed me documents, photos of a device like the one I found. He wants me to help investigate." Maya froze. Coffee midair. The spoon clinked against the mug. "Logan," she began, voice trembling, "your father's death was ruled mechanical failure. I won't have you chasing conspiracies." He met her gaze, seeing the pain and fear she had buried for 5 years. "I know," he whispered, "but if someone sabotaged his plane, Mom, I have to know why." He left messages evidence. It's in here. He tapped the envelope. I need to see this through. Tears shone in her eyes. He's your father, she said softly. And you're his son. But you're just 14. Promise me you'll be careful. He reached across the table, taking her hand. I will, but I have to do this. She nodded reluctantly, drawing him into a tight embrace. All right, she conceded, but if you need me, you come straight home. No secrets. He kissed her forehead. Promise. The day unfolded in a haze of half-listened lectures and furtive glances at the clock. At lunch, Luis Ortega peppered Logan with questions between bites of pizza crust. You really think you'll solve a murder conspiracy, dude? You're in advanced math. Not detective school. Logan shrugged, voice low. I have to try. Across the cafeteria, Carter Blake offered a nod of solidarity, an olive branch still tentative but sincere. Logan returned it with a small smile, grateful for any normality. When the final bell rang, Logan headed to the front gates where Captain Nolan Pierce waited beside a well-worn pickup truck. The retired Air Force pilot friend of Nathan Hayes greeted him with a firm handshake and a knowing smile. Morning, Logan. Ready to fly, Captain Pierce's salt and pepper mustache twitched as he spoke. Logan swallowed hard. Yes, sir. They drove to Skycrest Private Airfield in companionable silence, the fields and hangars slipping by like scenery in a movie. Captain Pierce pulled the truck into a shaded corner of the ramp where a pristine Cessna Skyhawk gleamed in the sun. You've flown in one of these before, Pierce said, nodding toward the aircraft. Logan placed a hand on the polished fuselage. I have. With my dad. Captain Pierce's gaze softened. He was the finest pilot I ever flew with. Flawless instincts. He stepped back. Today, you remind me of him. Logan felt a surge of pride and loss. He climbed into the cockpit, the familiar aroma of leather and aviation fuel wrapping around him. As Captain Pierce guided him through pre-flight checks, fuel gauges, control surfaces, engine cowling, Logan's hands moved with practiced precision. Each switch and lever was a connection to his father's teachings and to the promise of uncovering hidden truths. At last, they taxied onto the runway. Pierce leaned over. You'll handle takeoff. I'll monitor. Logan's pulse quickened. He advanced the throttle, feeling the Cessna surge forward. The horizon opened before him, a promise of freedom and discovery. As the wheels lifted, he felt the legacy of Nathan Hayes at his back, guiding him toward answers he had longed for. Mid-air, Captain Pierce offered quiet instruction on turns and climbs. Logan's nerves eased as the world shifted beneath him, the patchwork of fields and highways unfolding like a map. For a moment, all worries faded, replaced by the pure, unadulterated joy of flight. Yet even as he banked gently, awareness pricked at the edges of his mind. The secure phone, the jacket, Everett Sloane's request for vigilance. Somewhere far below, Victor Reeves plotted in shadowed boardrooms. Tomorrow's sun would bring new revelations and new dangers. But for now, Logan Hayes soared, heart aligned with his father's unerring compass, determined to trust his instincts and follow the truth wherever it led. Logan Hayes sat in the worn pickup truck outside Skycrest Private Airfield, the late afternoon sun filtering through the cab's dusty windows, his palms clammy on the yoke of the restored Cessna Skyhawk. He glanced sideways at Captain Nolan Pierce, who offered a reassuring nod. Good foundation, Captain Pierce said, voice steady. Let's see what you remember. They stepped out onto the tarmac, where the Skyhawk's gleaming wings beckoned. Logan ran a hand along the polished fuselage, tracing the smooth rivets and contours that mirrored every detail his father had taught him. The aircraft looked brand new, and Logan felt a thrill of pride and a pang of nostalgia as Everett Sloane's nameplate glinted on the cockpit door. Inside, they worked through the pre-flight checklist in companionable silence. Fuel levels, control surfaces, engine oil, carburetor heat. Each item unlocked memories of lessons spent under Nathan Hayes' patient tutelage. "Good instincts," Captain Pierce murmured after Logan expertly tested the magnetos. "Just like your father." Logan paused, heart tightening. He was working on that new navigation system for Sloan Innovations when Captain Pierce's expression flickered. "He mentioned it to me. Revolutionary tech. He called it, said it would change aviation." A shadow passed over the pilot's face as he recalled the night Nathan Hayes had confided in him. Logan's mind whirled if that project truly threatened powerful interests. His father's crash might have been no accident. But today, there was no room for fear, only focus. They climbed in. The familiar scent of leather and fuel wrapped around Logan like a welcome blanket. First time back is always the hardest, Captain Pierce advised as they taxied to the runway. "Trust the plane and trust yourself." Throttle opened, and the Skyhawk lunged forward. Logan guided it along the center line, hands steady as they left the pavement. As Earth fell away, adrenaline surged. The roar of the engine faded into wind and sky. Logan felt his nerves loosen, replaced by a sublime calm. "Look at those wings," Captain Pierce said once they cleared 500 feet. They were made for this. Buoyed by confidence, Logan practiced gentle climbs and descents, banking turns with precision. He caught glimpses of Skycrest Regional Airport below runways, hangars, the distant curve of Lakefield streets and aerial tapestry he knew intimately. For 90 minutes, they drilled maneuvers, steep turns, stalls, slow flight. Each correction from Captain Pierce honed Logan's skills, every successful curve a triumph. When Captain Pierce said, "You're a natural," Logan allowed himself a shy smile, imagining his father's approving grin. As they prepared to return, Logan's thoughts drifted back to the sabotaged Gulf Stream, to Victor Reeves's icy gaze, to the secret smartphone buzzing quietly in his jacket pocket. His heart pounded as he broached the question that had haunted him since that first flight. "Captain, do you think Dad's crash could have been sabotage?" Logan's voice trembled. Captain Pierce stiffened, hands tightening on the yoke. "What makes you ask?" he said carefully. Logan recounted Everett Sloane's revelations, the device on the hydraulic lines, the uncanny resemblance to whatever had felled Nathan Hayes. Captain Pierce's jaw clenched. "Your father was onto something," he said at last, voice low. Not just the Navy system he'd spotted irregularities in the company's tests. "He called me the night before, said he had evidence." Logan felt his pulse spike. What evidence? Captain Pierce stared ahead, eyes misting. "I never saw it. We were supposed to meet." But the official inquiry, they blame mechanical failure. Powerful companies can influence outcomes even unintentionally. Logan frowned. "You think someone at Sloan Innovations covered it up, not necessarily Everett Sloan himself," Captain Pierce clarified. "But someone in his circle may have wanted those findings buried." The Skyhawk dipped gracefully onto the runway, tires kissing asphalt. Logan's mind raced if Victor Reeves had engineered his father's crash. The man would stop at nothing to protect his ambitions. After taxiing back to the hangar, Captain Pierce parked under a shadowed wing. "Logan," he said, placing a hand on the teenager's shoulder, "be careful. Everett Sloan may be on your side, but remember, Sloan Innovations has billions at stake. Trust but verify." Logan nodded, absorbing the weight of the warning. "Thank you, Captain." Later, as the pickup truck wound toward home, Maya Hayes waited at the car, her eyes bright with pride. Captain Pierce stepped out. He did very well. He told her, "Your husband would be proud." Maya cracked a smile, though concern lingered. "Thank you for everything." Captain Pierce nodded. Same time Friday, Logan chimed with eager affirmation. Driving home. Logan recounted every detail except the part about sabotage. Maya listened, gratitude and relief painting her features. She had no appetite for conspiracy. She just wanted her son safe. That evening, Logan retreated to his room and retrieved the secure smartphone from its hiding place. No messages. He considered calling Everett Sloan, but hesitated. Captain Pierce's words echoed trust but verify. Better to gather more evidence first. Powering up his laptop, Logan dove into research on Sloan Innovations Navy's project. Most articles were dry technical reports until one caught his eye. A headline reading, "Sloan Innovations Delays Revolutionary Navy's Release After Setbacks." The date, 3 months after Nathan Hayes' accident. Quoted was Victor Reeves assuring shareholders that pilot error had behind the test delays. A chill ran down Logan's spine. Why mention it was unrelated to the Navy's prototype, unless someone had suggested otherwise? He dug deeper, finding an archived forum thread. Sky King 472, an aviation enthusiast, had speculated that Nathan Hayes' crash was no accident, that prototype sabotage had been covered up. The post was buried under dismissals, then vanished. Logan searched for Sky King 472's identity but hit a wall. Whoever they were, they had disappeared as quickly as they appeared. A soft knock startled Logan. He slammed the laptop shut as Maya called from the hallway. "It's late. School tomorrow." Logan sighed, closing the drawer on the smartphone and notes. Tomorrow. He would rise before dawn again, resume his covert vigilance, and piece together the evidence that might finally clear his father's name and expose the man who had stolen his legacy. For now, he slipped into bed, the memory of sky and steel etched in his mind. High above the clouds, truth waited one he was determined to chase, no matter the cost. The digital clock on the bedside table blinked 4:50 p.m. as Logan Hayes and Maya Hayes pulled into the nearly deserted lot of Clayton National Bank, no longer a stranger to high-stakes rendezvous. Maya's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. "Are you sure about this?" she asked, voice taut. Logan nodded, swallowed. "If what Everett Sloan said is true, whatever's on this drive could explain everything. Or it could put us in danger." He swallowed. "I need to know." Inside the vault chamber, a single bank officer guided them to Maya's safety deposit box. With her key and signature, the lock clicked open. Inside was a small fireproof case, heavy and unassuming. "This is it," Maya whispered, lifting it out like a fragile relic. They settled at a cramped table in the lobby's back room. Maya handed Logan the case. He ran fingertips over its cool metal, then released a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "Do you know the code?" Maya asked softly. Logan nodded, recalling his birthday and his father's fond declaration, "You're my greatest creation." He punched in 6 digits. The case hissed open, revealing 3 items: a slim hard drive, a small spiral-bound notebook, and a sealed envelope bearing Logan's name in his father's strong script. His heart thundered. "Should I open it here?" he asked, glancing at the polished floors and glinting vault doors. Maya shook her head. "Let's take it home. This is private." They returned to their modest kitchen by 5:10 p.m. Logan arranged the contents on the table like artifacts from another life. The hard drive gleamed beside the notebook's frayed cover. The envelope felt fragile in his palm. "You should read the letter first," Maya said, voice trembling. "I'll give you some space." Logan hesitated, then shook his head. "Stay. He wanted you to know." He slit the seal and unfolded the letter. His father's familiar handwriting sprang to life on the page. "Dear Logan, if you're reading this, something has happened to me. I hope you're old enough to understand and brave enough to do the right thing with this information." Logan swallowed. Maya sat beside him, hands clasped in her lap. "For the past year, I've been testing a new navigation system for Sloan Innovations, a satellite-based technology accurate to within centimeters, not meters. The military applications alone are worth billions. But I've discovered a critical flaw under certain conditions. False readings could send an aircraft off course into danger." His father's words trembled on the page with urgency. "I documented these flaws thoroughly, but management insisted I keep quiet until they assess the situation. 2 weeks ago, I uncovered evidence that someone altered my test data to conceal the problems. When I confronted Victor Reeves, the COO, he offered me money to sign off. I refused." Logan felt his pulse spike. "Yesterday, I received an anonymous warning that my plane might be tampered with. I've taken precautions, but if something happens to me, the evidence is on this drive and in my notebook. Do not trust anyone but Everett Sloan. He's a pilot and will understand." Tears stung Logan's eyes as he read on. "I'm sorry to place this burden on you. Know that I love you more than anything, and I'm proud of the person you'll become. Trust your instincts as I taught you they will guide you." His father had signed it, simply Dad. The letter trembled in Logan's grasp. Maya brushed a tear from her cheek, voice barely above a whisper. He knew. Someone wanted him silenced. Logan closed the envelope and gathered the notebook and hard drive. He flew that day knowing the risk. Maya choked out. That was Nathan Hayes always doing the right thing. His phone buzzed a secure SMS from Everett Sloan Meet at Hangar B. 5:30. Important development. RT? Logan glanced at the clock. 5:15. "Mom, I need to get to the airport," he said. Voice urgent. "Absolutely not," Maya snapped, protective fury igniting. "We need to take this to the police." "But Dad's letter says to take it to Everett Sloan," Logan pleaded, "and he's the only person I trust with this evidence." Maya's gaze wavered, torn between maternal instinct and the promise of finally unveiling the truth. At last, she exhaled. "Okay, but you're not going alone." Logan searched her eyes, gratitude flooding him. "Thank you, Mom." They retrieved the hard drive, letter, and notebook from the fireproof case and loaded them into Maya's car. Logan's heart pounded as they sped toward Skycrest Private Airfield's east gate. Security had begun repairing the fence, but an access point remained just wide enough for Maya's sedan. At 5:28 p.m., they arrived at a weathered hangar marked B. The sliding doors loomed ominously. Logan gripped Maya's hand. "Stay close," he whispered. They entered to find Everett Sloan waiting beneath the tired overhead lights, flanked by 2 uniformed agents undesirable in earlier hours, now reassuring allies. "Thank you for coming," Everett said, motioning them inside. "I made sure security knew you were authorized." He led them to a folding table where the items were already laid out. Everett's gaze softened when he saw Maya's tears. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I should have warned you." Maya swallowed. "This letter. It's clear someone wanted your company's safety concerns buried, and maybe my husband dead." Everett nodded gravely. "I've suspected Victor Reeves for years. But now we have your husband's own testimony." He turned to the agents. "Secure everything. I'll call the FBI." One agent carefully bagged the hard drive. The other photographed the notebook's pages. Logan swallowed, relief and fear mingling in his chest. The weight of secrets he'd carried alone was lifting, but in its place rose a storm of consequences. Everett placed a firm hand on Logan's shoulder. "Your father was right. We'll expose this." Then he turned to Maya. "I'm sorry I've put your son at risk. I should have moved faster." Maya met his eyes. "Thank you for believing in him and in my husband." Everett nodded. "The truth will come out, and your husband's legacy will live on." As agents radioed for backup, Logan exhaled, watching Everett Sloan close in on the final pieces of evidence. The hangar's shadows receded under bright floodlights, chasing away hidden threats. Tomorrow, the world would know the full story of Nathan Hayes' sacrifice and the man who tried to bury it. But tonight, a son and a mother stood together, ready to face whatever came next. And somewhere above the clouds, Nathan Hayes would have watched, proud that his instincts and his legacy had guided them home. The drive to the east gate of Skycrest Private Airfield had been tense and silent. Logan Hayes sat in the back seat, clutching the fireproof case on his lap, while Maya Hayes' knuckles turned white on the steering wheel. The message from Everett Sloan ordering them to come alone to Hangar B had felt like a trap, and now, with Captain Nolan Pierce's warning echoing in their ears, they knew to trust no one. When they arrived, the faded sign, Hangar B, Maintenance, loomed in the dusk. The sliding door was slightly ajar, no security guard in sight. Maya killed the engine. "This doesn't feel right," she whispered. "Me neither," Logan replied. He reached for his regular phone and dialed Captain Pierce. On the third ring, the pilot answered. "Logan." "Stay there," Pierce said. Voice urgent. "I just spoke with Everett. He's in Seattle for an emergency board meeting. He's not in town." Logan's blood ran cold. "Then who sent the message?" "Get home," Pierce insisted. "I'm calling the lead FBI agent. Don't go near that hangar." Maya cut the engine and reversed onto the service road. Suddenly, a black SUV roared up alongside them, forcing Maya to brake. Through the tinted window, Logan recognized the driver, Victor Reeves's security aide from the day before. Before they could react, another sedan screeched to a halt behind them. "Logan, run!" Maya shouted, pressing her foot down on the brake. Dark-suited men poured out of both vehicles, converging on Maya's sedan. Maya fumbled to unlock the passenger door, but a gun-cocked hand tapped on her window. "Mrs. Hayes, Logan," the man said coldly, voice clipped. "Step out. Victor Reeves would like a word." 30 minutes later, Logan Hayes and Maya Hayes sat rigid in the hushed cavern of the abandoned maintenance hangar. Their fireproof case was gone now on the table before Victor Reeves, who inspected the letter with a cruel glint. "So predictable," Reeves mused, scanning the first page. "Your father was too righteous for his own good." Maya rose, arm protecting Logan. "What are you going to do with us?" Reeves smiled thinly. "That depends on what's on this drive." He waved to an aide, who plugged the hard drive into a laptop perched on a folding chair. The screen flickered to life, revealing Nathan Hayes' test logs, video recordings of the Navy's failures, and flight data anomalies. Maya saw the film of her husband's work, meticulous charts and timestamp notes. He was trying to do the right thing. She whispered. Reeves laughed, cold and hollow. "The right thing. Do you have any idea what was at stake? The Navy's contract was worth billions. Delays would have doomed Sloan Innovations." Logan rose, voice shaking with fury. "So you killed my father instead." Reeves shrugged. Business is business. Nathan Hayes made his choice. He closed the laptop with a snap. And now I have a choice about you two. A sudden roar filled the hangar as headlights swept across the corrugated walls. Reeves frowned and motioned a guard to investigate. The guard reached the doorway when it flew open, revealing Everett Sloan flanked by several FBI agent Carter's men, weapons drawn. FBI hands where we can see them, the lead agent barked. Reeves's guards hesitated, then raised their arms. Reeves himself remained eerily composed. Everett, he sneered. You're supposed to be in Seattle. Everett Sloan stepped forward, confident and unruffled. I received an alert from young Logan's secure phone. It went offline briefly after my message. I suspected someone close would take the bait. His gaze flicked to Logan. Nice work. Reeves's eyes widened. You used the boy as bait. Everett's tone turned icy. I suspected Victor Reeves was behind the sabotage. When Logan mentioned his father's research, I knew you'd move, so I created an opportunity to catch you red-handed. At that, FBI agent Carter and his team moved in, securing Victor Reeves and his men in handcuffs. An agent cataloged the hard drive and letter as evidence. The lead agent read the charges Victor Reeves. You're under arrest for kidnapping Maya Hayes and Logan Hayes, conspiracy to commit murder, and suspected involvement in Nathan Hayes' death. As Reeves was marched out, he glared back. You'll never prove he was murdered. That was 5 years ago. Everett Sloan inclined his head. Perhaps, but the sabotage device on my plane matched components from your private lab, and your men committed kidnapping and assault with witnesses. That's enough to begin. He turned to Maya Hayes and Logan Hayes, voice softening. I'm deeply sorry you were put at risk. I never intended to drag you into this, but I had to know who was responsible. Maya drew Logan close. Thank you for coming for us. Everett met Logan's eyes. Your father trusted us to do the right thing. Thank you for trusting your instincts and for helping expose the truth. Logan nodded, relief and sorrow mingling. The hangar's overhead lights glinted on the discarded folding chairs. The silent evidence laid bare. Justice had arrived at last. Outside, the wail of sirens pierced the night. Everett Sloan placed a hand on Logan's shoulder. Your father's legacy will live on, he promised. Logan watched as Victor Reeves disappeared into an FBI cruiser. The burden he had carried since childhood, the truth about his father's death, had finally been lifted, replaced by a new path forward. And somewhere in the vast sky, Nathan Hayes would have flown proudly beside his son, free at last, from shadows and lies. The hangar's fluorescent lights hummed overhead as Everett Sloan stood flanked by Logan Hayes and Maya Hayes, the echo of departing police sirens still vibrating through the concrete floor. The night's drama had come to a close. Victor Reeves in cuffs, his confession recorded, the hard drive and letter now secure evidence. Everett turned to face the Hayes family, expression heavy with regret. I'm deeply sorry you were put at risk, he said. I had surveillance agents on standby from the moment Logan first alerted me, but I never anticipated Reeves would brazenly abduct you both. Maya's voice cracked with anger. You used my son as bait. You put him in danger deliberately. Logan reached for his mother's hand. Mom, it worked. We caught him. Maya shook her head fiercely. It's not okay. Logan, my husband died testing your system. Now you risked our son's life, too. Everett lowered his gaze, admitting fault. You're right, Mrs. Hayes. I made a calculation, and I put your family at risk. For that, I can only ask your forgiveness. Logan drew a breath. Did you know about the flaws my dad found in the Navy system? Everett hesitated, brow furrowing. Not until it was too late. Nathan Hayes documented the issues, but Victor Reeves buried them. By the time I discovered the full extent of the danger, your father had already perished and the evidence vanished. Maya's eyes flashed with accusation. So you released the system anyway? Everett met her gaze, voice firm. No. I scrapped it entirely and started over from scratch. The version released 3 years later was a full redesign at a cost of hundreds of millions. I refused to launch anything I believed unsafe. A soft footstep interrupted them. FBI Agent Carter, clipboard in hand, approached. Mr. Gu, Sloan, we need your and the Hayes family's statements for the report. The next hours passed in a blur of questions, fingerprints, and formalities. By the time they emerged from the FBI field office, it was well past midnight. Everett placed a reassuring hand on Logan's shoulder. I've arranged a suite at the Grand Aurora Hotel for you both. Your home is now a crime scene as agents continue their search. Dawn came too early. At 8:00 a.m., Logan and Maya slid into a quiet hotel restaurant where Everett Sloan sat nursing coffee in the corner booth. His eyes were ringed with exhaustion and relief. The FBI found additional evidence at Reeves's private lab. Everett reported, voice low. Documents linking him directly to my plane's sabotage and suggesting he orchestrated Nathan Hayes' crash. They're reopening the investigation into your father's death. Logan's heart pounded. Do you think they'll prove he killed my dad? Everett shook his head. It was 5 years ago, and records can be manipulated. But your father's files, your father's testimony, preserved on that drive, are damning. At minimum, they show Reeves concealed critical safety flaws and attempted to bribe your father to cover them up. Maya folded her hands. Where does this leave us? Everett, my husband is still gone. We've relived this trauma. Everett leaned forward, sincerity in his eyes. That depends on what you want. I can't bring Nathan Hayes back, but I can ensure his legacy endures. How would you like to honor him? Logan looked to his mother, seeking her silent blessing. Maya gave a small nod. Logan took a breath. I'd like that. But I want something more. I want the truth about my father made public. Every flaw he discovered, every cover-up, all of it. Everett paused, then nodded gravely. You're right. The truth is paramount. Even if it damages my company's reputation, I will hold a press conference next week to lay everything bare. 6 days later, the press hall at Sloan Innovations headquarters in Seattle was packed. Rows of cameras and reporters filled the room. At the front, a podium bore the company logo and a plaque reading, "In honor of Nathan Hayes." Everett Sloan approached the mic. Beside him, Logan Hayes and Maya Hayes sat in the front row, united in purpose. Everett cleared his throat. Good morning. 6 years ago, Nathan Hayes, a gifted pilot and engineer, discovered serious flaws in our Navi's navigation system. His warnings were ignored by senior executives, leading to his tragic death under suspicious circumstances. Today, the FBI has confirmed Victor Reeves orchestrated sabotage on my aircraft, and evidence suggests his involvement in Nathan Hayes' accident. He paused, letting the gravity settle, in honor of his courage. Sloan Innovations is establishing the Hayes Center for Aviation Safety, dedicated to developing the next generation of navigation technologies and ensuring no pilot's life is ever compromised by hidden flaws. Logan felt tears sting his eyes as applause rippled through the hall. Reporters shouted questions, but Everett raised a hand. Thank you. No further comment until the official dossier is released. As the conference concluded, Everett found Logan and Maya in the lobby. He handed Logan a small leather box. Inside sat a provisional pilot's license bearing Logan Hayes' name and photo. "Your instructor may be recovering," Everett said softly, "but you're already qualified. All your father's logged hours are credited. You can fly with an instructor until you're 16 and solo thereafter. The Cessna is waiting whenever you're ready." Logan stared, disbelief and joy flooding him. "I can really do this." Everett smiled. "Your father would have insisted. You have his skills and his heart." That afternoon, as Maya and Logan boarded Everett Sloan's Gulfstream for the flight home, the Seattle skyline shimmered below. Logan gazed out at the city, once the scene of so much grief now bathed in sunlight. "Might as well ask," Logan said, turning to his mother. "Do you think it's a good idea to add something to the subscribe card for our channel? I sketched a logo, a stylized plane with the words Mitchell Aviation Legacy beneath it. We could invite viewers to share how flying changed their lives." Maya smiled through tears. "That would be perfect. A community in his memory, just like he would have wanted." Logan closed his eyes as the jet climbed into the endless blue. In 2 weeks, his world had shifted from tragedy to triumph, from secrets to justice. His father's spirit soared beside him, finally at peace and guiding new dreamers, too. Tonight, we witnessed how a courageous teenager turned a split-second decision into a legacy of justice. Logan Hayes not only saved a billionaire's life, but unearthed long-buried truths that cost his father everything. From the shadowy hangar where betrayal almost claimed him, to the soaring heights where his own pilot's license became a testament to perseverance. Logan's journey reminds us that integrity and instinct can shatter the darkest cover-ups. As the dust settles and the Hayes Center for Aviation Safety takes flight, we honor both father and son champions who proved that even the smallest observer can challenge the mightiest powers. What will you do when faced with the choice between silence and standing up for what's right? Share your thoughts in the comments. Tap like if Logan's story moved you. And don't forget to subscribe for more real-life tales of ordinary heroes overcoming extraordinary odds. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning of all we can achieve when we dare to speak the truth.